All right, we're live. How you doing? This is Coach Ernie with 0DTE, and this is the 0DTE morning market analysis. And today's focus is going to be on Chairman Powell, because he speaks today in front of the banking committee, or testifies. And so we'll talk a little bit about that, what that means to us as 0DTE traders, and how it might affect our overall strategy or our plan, considering the overall landscape of today. So first of all, we're going to tackle what we are here for anyways, no matter what, and that is to come up with the three different criteria that we need to determine our, if you don't know already, we trade 0DTE. That means the last day of expiration options on the 0DTE. Typically the SPX or the E-mini futures. We can also look at things like the NASDAQ, the NDX, or the NQ futures. And we can even delve into things like oil, futures on oil. So, but mainly we're doing the SPX and the ES in the morning. So what we need to find out is where the volatility is so we can figure out our exposure, what the direction of the market is so we can figure out direction, because it is an out-of-the-money trade, and therefore it is a directional trade as well. But we are looking to capture premium too. So it's multifaceted. And finally, we're looking for an entry event, and that means that we're looking at market structure as defined by our volume profile analysis so that we can take the trade. And typically that will happen in the morning session between 9:30 and 12:30. Now, so why don't we do that first, and then we'll talk about Jerome Powell and how that will affect our overall strategy. All right. So we will start with, I got to go over here and choose the trading view and get to the right chart. So first thing we do is we take a look at the VIX and see where it is in its volatility regime so we can determine the width of our butterfly. And we can see, just like yesterday, we're below the 17 level, which means we're in zombie land. Oh, I feel like we're going to be here for a long time. And, well, whenever you spend more than a day, it feels like a long time in zombie land. And if we come over here to the left, you'll see that we're choosing between 15 and 25 wide. It's going to be very much like yesterday, I believe. And then we come up here to the top. We look at the big ass fly, which is our kind of our expected move indicator. It's really a 50 wide at the money butterfly that we're looking at pre-market and also pre-indicator or pre-economic report release. Although this morning we don't have any economic reports. We only have at 10 a.m. post-market open where Jerome Powell speaks. All right. So that's going to be the big change here. But anyways, let's take a look at the big ass fly to find out exactly where on this range of widths that we're going to be looking at. And to do that, we need to go to our Thinkorswim. And here's our big ass fly. We can see that it is currently priced at $24.55. So we'll go back to the VIX, but I want to say that whenever it's 25 or under, we consider taking this as a edge case trade. And so we'll be taking this in the morning, this morning. It looks like right now we're at, let's see, 60.70 is the center strike. So 50 wide would be 60.20, 60.70, 61.20. And that's a good trade. And typically we'll hold that pre-market and see if we can get some theta decay and potentially take $2 to $5 of profit before Jerome Powell comes on. I would imagine that because he's coming on, that volatility may have a tendency to rise a little bit. So I'm looking to take this trade off relatively early, maybe pre-market open, maybe right after it. You never know what's going to happen before he gets on there. There could be some sort of slip up or news leak or whatever that could really move the market, and that might upset that trade. So it's a little bit different situation. We're typically looking for it to a volatility crush after an economic report is released at 8:30, but that's not happening today. All right. So we have a value of 24. Let's go over to, now earlier it was at 25. So that means that implied volatility is rising as we're getting deep, later into this morning. And that was just an hour ago, about 25 and change. So maybe volatility will continue to rise into this event. So that's going to be a very interesting development. What it will mean is that we may not get the same kind of decay on this big ass fly in the morning that we normally do, because like I said, we're typically waiting for an economic report to be released, and then there's usually volatility crush, meaning a drop in volatility, and that will increase the value of our fly very rapidly. Today might be a little bit different, so I would be really cautious on your trading here. You may find that you're not going to get the theta decay that you were hoping for with an early morning move on this trade. That's my assessment. I'm sticking to it. So anyways, back to TradingView. And we're right in the middle here. So it is going to be for our other normal trade, our single out of the money asymmetric butterfly, we're looking at 20 wide because it's right in the middle of the range in Zombieland at 25. All right. See, what happens is when we have very low volatility in the morning, the debit will be very high, which means that there has been accelerated premium decay, and it doesn't make the big ass fly a good opportunity. But when it gets down to 25, you now have enough theta decay left to make the trade viable, and also gamma risk becomes flatter, comes lower, and makes it an easier trade to make. Of course, when that debit is really low, it makes it a fantastic trade. Lots of premium left to collect and very low gamma. So 25 is our cutoff point. All right, so the next thing to look at is our direction. We're still like right there, right at the edge. Are we up or down? I'm going to say that today we're down. I know it's a little bit arbitrary here, but quite frankly, it doesn't matter too much. Any given day is going to end up or down. We're really looking for strong trends and go in the direction of the trend, but right now, I would say this trend is anything but strong. All right, so let's choose down, and that means we're going to be putting on put flies 20 wide, and the next step is to look at where our entry events could possibly be. So in a downtrend, we're really looking for pull-ups into levels. So we're currently below this volume node. That green line is representing the bottom of the volume node. So we would be looking for pull-ups into there, and then that would be, I'm going to just put like a little pad or landing area there, right there. So we would be looking for a resistance there and then take the trade down below. So yesterday we had our setup. There was a perfect setup, and it was a bullish move. So it came right down to this level at 60.69 on the ES. It found support there and then moved up sharply. So if we had taken that trade there, we would have put a call fly on and profited nicely with about a 20-something point move, I guess it was. Yeah, about a little over, almost a 30-point move. That would have put us well into profit. Of course, it turned around. We would have executed our profit management and probably captured, I don't know, anywhere from 75 to 150% return on our risk. Really nice little trade. That's our bread and butter trade. And of course, it came all the way down to the bottom of this volume node, which is this green level here at 60.73, and provided another opportunity for a similar trade. By that time, a lot of our members are, done and probably weren't looking for another trade. But it was another opportunity because it is still technically in the morning session. So there was another opportunity for another winning trade. So that's what we're looking for today, is something similar but going down. All right. Let's go back to the big head. Now we know exactly what we're doing. All right. So the way we would alter things today is that I probably wouldn't be a big fan of the big ass fly, even if it does look like it's meeting our criteria, mostly because of that event that's happening at 10 a.m. where Jerome Powell is going to be speaking in or testifying in front of the banking committee. He'll get up and read a prepared speech and then take a question and answer from the panel. And it's really during that panel discussion that you typically will see a lot of volatility injected in the market, depending on what he says, because the market will be super focused on every word that he says, every word that he utters. They'll also be looking at his prepared speech as well to see if there's any variance in monetary policy. Everyone the Wall Street is really on edge from this point of view. They're wondering, can we get more rate cuts, or are we still sticking to the two? And with recent employment developments, there's a chance that they might see more cuts. Nobody knows. So that's, they're all looking for that. And if there are more cuts, then they look at that as positive, even though the reason for the cuts is negative, because we're in kind of this opposite world. But anyways, a single out-of-the-money fly really seems like the play for today. And hopefully we'll get an event prior to Powell coming out and taking the podium. And we put that trade on because I expect that there will be a fair amount of volatility prior to that. So there you go. That's our trade for today. Yesterday was a good one. Today, we shall see. We always love volatility. The rest of the week, we're going to have CPI and PPI numbers. So should be a good one. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Hope you all have a great trading day. Coach Ernie